we're familiar with ourselves, and if we're leaders, we should have a high level or should have a high level of self-awareness to
Mm-hmm.
a certain degree. Obviously, some more than others, and I firmly believe the more self-aware you can be, the better off you are, especially if you're a leader. But if you worked for somebody or worked with somebody for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, 10 years, 12 years,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to pick up a lot of this just from natural observation. What
Mm-hmm.
worked and what didn't work. Wow, I remember I did XYZ and I came across like this to Sue, and that really didn't go over well, or to Joe, and that really didn't go over really well. I know not to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why end up being to the point where it's based on experience when you can find that out and avoid the issue ahead of time,
Oh yeah.
especially when you're looking at it from a global perspective,
Mm-hmm.
global in your organization. If making that move from kind of more the golden rule to platinum rule type of mentality with meeting people where they halfway where they like to be met.
Mm-hmm.
Think about just the HR, not just engagement when we talked about it before, but even just the HR complaints that could be eliminated from just people understanding, well, okay, if I'm talking to using the example you just used, I need to tone it down a little bit. I need to lower the volume. I don't need to have the big, long, loud DJ voice.
Mm-hmm.
When he's doing that. I mean, that's because if that is what is the barrier to communication, that might be great for the other 5 direct reports, but when she comes in, you need to meet her halfway. You need to tone it down a little bit. You need to
Mm-hmm.
soften it up, lower the volume, pause a little bit more. Just little things like that. If you realize that that is one of the triggers, because it doesn't mean that they don't agree with you. It doesn't mean they don't like you. Some people, for example, that are on the more predictable end of it when it comes to pace and consistency, they need a little bit of time to process things.
Yes.
You just can't walk in, dump something on them, and then expect an answer right away. Uh,
Right. Yeah, I've seen that happen where a person is expecting an answer right away, and the person's still processing the information. It's not that they're being deliberately slow. They're just that's how they process the information. So what I've seen happen is sometimes the other person will say, "Well, what are you, stupid or something? Give me an answer here," and they just don't get that this other person has a different way of processing information and then communicating back. That again can come from a great assessment tool that will identify it in a way that is not threatening, but just says, "Hey, here's how it is with this person. They process
yeah.
information differently than you, and you need to bridge the gap there. You need to come halfway in helping them understand that
If you're
you do
someone
want to
that's
give them
more
the time."
direct and it's more, okay, gut reaction,
Mm-hmm.
instinctive bullet point kind of thing, okay, well, yeah, I don't mind taking and, you give me something to ask for. So I'll just tell you the top 3 things right off the top of my head, boom, 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 and let's just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Where, the other person may be like, well, what are the consequences? What are the, situations behind it? What could and couldn't happen? Those types of,
Mm-hmm.
so you're not springing something on them. I mean, there's just lots of little nuanced things that you can do like that, and
Absolutely.
setting up your systems and processes the way you do meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just a lot of different ways that can really help make your communication in the organization much more effective. So the 2 ways that we talked about today to create a clear communication culture is try to identify with all of your direct reports and all your peers, whether it's through a database assessment process or whether it is just through kind of experience and anecdotes, but try to figure out in your mind those 2 lists: ways to communicate with the people that are around me, and then ways not to communicate, that are specific to them. There's some things that are just general, good
Mm-hmm.
business etiquette, good just etiquette in general for communications, but specific to them, what are ways that you can think of to improve the communications? And I think if you get those 2 lists of what ways to communicate with somebody effectively and ways not to communicate with them, take that into effect and start thinking more platinum rule than golden rule.
Mm-hmm.
How can I communicate with that person in a way that they would like to be communicated with? Not being inauthentic, not changing your style, but just being empathetic and
Mm-hmm.
considerate of others. I think we can certainly go a long way to improving the communication culture in our organization. What are some final thoughts you have, Tom?
Well, you're absolutely right with those final comments that you've made there. The idea is we just need to be a little bit more open-minded and look for tools that can help us be better leaders better communicators. And I got to believe it's going to help not only the relationships, but our bottom line.
Yes, absolutely. Because, like I said, the communication and leadership all leads to engagement, and engagement is where you get your productivity, your turnover. That is really where the rubber meets the road. Bottom line. So I
Mhm.
hope these tips are helpful. I challenge you all to go and find out this information. And if you're looking for something that's an assessment based, data driven approach, you can always reach out to Tom and I. We have our information down there. We'd be more than happy to give you a sample of one of our behavioral assessments and see if that's something that may be good for your team. Who knows? If it's a good fit, great. If not, that's fine. But we're more than happy to get that sample to you. Just reach out to us in the information below. And we will see you guys for the next Business Smarts Radio with Tom and Dr. Dave.